Hi, my name's Erwin, and this is the Poetry Lighthouse podcast. In today's episode, I had the pleasure to interview poet The Paperman, who will talk about his poetry collection, The Paperman's Tales.
I brought another one of my favorites called The Queen,
Oh, fantastic.
which to
Could you give
me,
us a little bit of background of how you wrote this poem?
sure. This one, The Queen, I wrote this one just it was a typical day of any other, and the prompt alluded to things created by women, and throughout that, I believe this was a few days after or a few days before National Women's Day, if I remember correctly. And I've worked on a lot of different conferences for National Women's Day in leading up to it, and the prompt also happened to reference National Women's Day. On top of that, I wanted to put my own experiences into the way that I've seen women treated in the workplace, particularly in the corporate world, how I've seen not only that, but just in my ordinary life, looking back in history, how they've been treated, and how the mistreatment has not only been so much of a plague throughout history, but still continues today. And hearing ugly conversations as a man behind closed doors about men that will talk privately and say, "Oh, well, she's this," or "Well, she's that." Hearing that and thinking, I've had enough. And so I decided to sit down and write. And from there was the pretense to this. And on top of that, as well as a show of force, is also a way to honor all the women in my life, being from my mother, from my grandparents, to all of my friends, and from complete all strangers. So this is very, very much in honor of that.
Very important topic. So really amazing. I am so eager to hear your poem. Could you please read it to us?
Enjoy. The Queen. It is said that man is the head and woman is the neck. No matter what is done, this deserves the ultimate in respect. For centuries and dynasties, the high and mighty would fall at the feet of women like these, and it's because they are here that history reflects a much better picture than it would without them in times of need. For true power doesn't come in a show of force, a loud voice, a sword, or even a single word. It is exhibited in a gaze that leaves any and all fazed, just by placing her hands on her hips with her chin raised. The role she plays is a lead, not a supporting act, on the world stage. She acts without fear, as she has done and will do year after year. For as many struggles man may think he has to carry, it is nothing by comparison to what a woman has conquered, if you were to keep a tally. The horrid fact that society for a long time accepted and spat back was that women were lesser, as their complexities and ideologies were simply not a good fit for the boys' club society. What a mockery of human decency, and a derogatory dance that man chained to her to be controlled like a puppet on a string. For he thought that he was in control, and this was not so. For she was the one that taught him how to stand tall, care for not just himself, but for all, and what it meant to love with all that you have, rather than like when you can offer no more. I am appalled by this, and as a man raised by caring and loving hands, I wish to eradicate these men. They don't deserve to stand in place in the presence of any woman on this earth, while they treat them like dirt and they have no grasp of a woman's worth. The choices she makes were made with the evaluation of emotions and reason, with herself selfishly excluded to the side. She does this as she values those that she cares about, and that is something she gives willingly and does not hide. the choices that cut deep through a 9-month labor in which she gave up a piece of herself, only to be forced to decide between what to throw away and what to keep. She raised them on her own and stood tall when she was alone. While man is a soldier, a woman is the army. A man can't put his own heart back together, and a woman has to do it for herself and for others piece by piece. Her own hands show more scars and calluses than that of any man. And whether it is her makeup or what she made up, she shows none of her pain to anyone and readies herself to fight again. That timeless wisdom she has imparted is at its core one of the reasons humanity started. If I am the first, I hope not to be the last to show honor and give thanks to the ones that run the game. As I urge others to do the same, educate through equality, and not be obscene, as I, the scribe, in this court fall to my knees and cry, all hail the queens. Thank you.
Wow. That was a very powerful and very eloquent and vociferous, in a good way, obviously, poem. And thank you for that, because I think this is a very important topic to talk about in society, because it's still nowadays very relevant. And I think a lot of people really do take women for granted, of all the things they do. Just the fact of considering, for example, our own mothers, it's so sad to think that a lot of people don't even, recognize that as a huge, a very, Herculean sort of powerful way of work. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort to raise kids, and the fact that they can do all this. Plus, now it's also very important when it comes to work, in terms of finding a job. We still have this gap. I think everywhere, even in very developed countries, we still have this gap between men and women. And if we look at CEOs, most of them are men. And you see, the thing is, I feel that there is a lot of people tend to talk more about it, and men more often seem to be very positive about women, but little does it seem to change in actual terms. There's not many CEO female figures that we are able to look up. In the same way, when it comes to political figures, it's just a very handful of women are actually able to make it to those positions. It's a world run by men still nowadays, and it was even worse before, obviously. And there's all of these wonderful things that women have to give to this world, and I think there's no life worth more than other, and it's just for very petty differences in terms of physical appearance. Because if you think about it, we all have the same sort of even almost the same body. I mean, quite different in some ways, of course, but in terms of we're both humans, right? We're not some other type of animal. And we all have the same type of brain, the same type of wishes. We all wish to do great. We all wish to be congratulated and acknowledged for what we do. So through this poem, I think you were very clear on the fact that these men are not worth our time, and they shouldn't be. There is a change that has to be done. There is work to do still nowadays, because even nowadays, sometimes we can hear men talking that way to women. We still have assaults. We still have women being killed and raped, and it's still very common. And this doesn't mean that it doesn't happen for men. This also happens to men, but in a different at different rates. I think it's all from our old ideologies of women and what we think of women, how we perceive them from a very long time. And we're kind of trying slightly to change that. But I think there's obviously going to be this people who will not really changed their minds on these topics. But very interesting, and I like the stances that you've done in there. Could you maybe talk a little bit more about what's the objective of this poem in your opinion?
The audience that I would like to aim for this would be for men and women. Primarily for women, it is a compliment. It is meant to be seen as a compliment and honor, as well as recognition, not only just in the "don't worry, I hear you," no, as in a genuine thank you. You, it is, if you sit down and you think about every single thing that women have had to do on their own by themselves through everything that men threw at them through history, and not even just through the instances of men, but also in just history in general, things that were completely quashed or overlooked simply based on their gender. To actually take this and see this as, I want to be, I hope not to be the last. If I'm the first, I really hate that, but I would hope not to be the last to say genuinely thank you from the bottom of my heart. For the men, it is a wake-up call, and to say that, look, whatever you think you've been doing to this point isn't enough. There has to be a solid re-education from men, and there has to be a want and willingness from men to learn. Because as anybody that ever tried to learn a hobby, say, if you want to learn how to play guitar, the only way that you would learn guitar is if you actually had a natural curiosity towards it. You would want to learn more. So to men, you have to be that, you have to have that curiosity, you have to have that openness, you have to have those hard conversations that you don't want to have because, oh, it's something that I'm not meant to get used to, or something that's women's business, I shouldn't involve myself. Stop. You want to be part of that, you want to be part of her life, learn. How do you learn? You ask. You are going to ask all the questions. Yes, you are a very simple creature, and we will do our absolute best, as we always want to find that one answer for everything. And that is not it. There is not one answer for everything. The thing to do, though, is to ask and to have patience with not only yourself, but to learn. If you can actually go forward and learn about the different things regarding hygiene for women, for learning the different ways to pay compliments, learning how to do that, as well as whenever there's whenever she's in an instance where she is in pain and going to a doctor, where the doctor will just completely brush it off as something that's happening, you'll get over it, and she's doubled over in pain, saying, I have never seen her like that, reiterating her words to the doctor as a man to give that stance, although the doctor may not believe her words, through you as a man to continue that will show that you are meaning business as she is meaning business. And hopefully it will get to the point where you will not need to do that anymore, where her words are taken not at just face value, but at all their value. That is the point we need to reach if we are hoping to actually get anywhere in this lifetime and all lifetimes here. For that education as well as action, that is the purpose of this.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's absolutely essential and pivotal to get educated. And even when I was, the way I was brought up, I wasn't really taught at school all of these things that happen to women. So we cannot even imagine all the things and the pains that they have to go through every, like, all the time. It's so hard to be a woman, and we don't learn this at school. We tend to see them as, oh, they're just being too, a bit, angry for no reason, and they tend to have these mood swings. So, and we start to call them names, and we just don't even understand why. What's the factors behind it? Why is it that I'm not experiencing the same thing as her? And how to have some kind of sympathy by understanding that what they're going through is an actual real emotional roller coaster that they always have to go through, and especially in a society where they seem always as vulnerable to so many things, not only abuse, which is very common, but also being looked down upon just because they're women, and not being accepted in some cases, in many, many places, just because they're women. And I think there is this strong movement of feminism going on. Um, since history, there's always been these movements, but um, every time it comes more, it becomes stronger and stronger. And I think the reason why it's still happening is because we still have problems. We still have these great problems that we haven't fixed, because I think it all starts, as you said, with education. And if we don't educate ourselves, the problem will still go on and on. So
Mm.
absolutely agree with you, and thank you, because I think women deserve to be acknowledged at a very, very high level, because it's not enough to just say thank you. It really is a humongous effort to go through all the things that women have to go through, especially if they have kids. A case in point is when one is pregnant, when a woman is pregnant and they have their kids and they have to take care of them. We often seeing it as, well, that's normal. That's how it should be. Yeah, but you don't know how much work they have to put into raising kids.
You
It's a
carry
lot of,
responsibility in that too.
exactly, it's a whole responsibility, which many male adults, if male adults do it, then wow, they're so amazing, applause. A man taking care of kids, wow, wonderful. When a woman does it, it's like, well, that's normal, that's how it should be, right?
Yeah,
And
that needs to
the
change.
times have changed. Women is not the only one who stays at home and the man who goes out to work. There's a compromise. There is always important for men to also cooperate and help a woman, and see it as something that really takes a lot of effort, instead of something that all will come naturally because you're a woman and that's how it's supposed to be. um
Mm.
so yeah, and we need to appreciate our mothers a lot. We need to love our mothers, show them some
Mm.
love every now and then, little maybe a
No,
letter or
always.
something. It's always really nice to
Always got to show your mum. Always.
yes, that's always really nice. So amazing. Thank you for this poem. It was very lovely.
Oh.
And now let's move on to the last poem. So what is the third poem that you chose?
Okay, the third and final poem that I have here is called The Split.
This.
Uh, this one is this one goes very, very much towards the day that I wrote this, I had just watched nothing but compilations of King of the Dot, Don't Flop, and all of these rap battle tournaments from all around the world. And just sitting there and listening to copious amounts of rhymes, as well as people just tearing chunks out of each other. And listening to that, and I thought, I need to sit down right now. There is stuff happening in my head. Whatever is happening out there, I need to put this down. So I decided to write using all that I'd started hearing then, all the techniques that I learned from there. A poem which is about a rap battle between life and death. Well, life and death, light and the dark. More light in the dark is how I would say that here. So, The Split. I am where you want to be, the place that is considered the rightful road to righteousness and humility. My ability to lighten and brighten up a room is conceived and comprehended in the minds of children and all men. I have given the gift that has sparked passion and brings heroes to action now and then. I will be there when you need a friend, and I will always shine when you need to be reminded of hope again. I am that 15 minutes of fame you will never get. I am what remains when there is nothing left. I was there at your first breath, and I will snatch it as you take your last. I will bury your fears and hide you from your past. I shroud your surrounds in shades of mystery and misery, the absence of everything and everything when you can no longer see. I am the obligatory thing that, to those who live in a world when all is stark, I am what made you afraid of the dark. I wash away your dismay and play with your memories night and day. I am what fills you on Christmases and birthdays and helps your spirit savor the flavors of life along the way. I open doors, pave floors, hallow halls, and amplify applause. I seek safety in the homes and hearts of people who are normally ignored. For I give them chance to breathe, to lead, to have, and to see. Teaching you to be yourself is the thing that brings joy to me. I made the easy seem like the only option, the opinion that you hold in a mold and the simplest of lies told to the young and old. I fester and breed within the lesser, like a disease you can't see. I started the revolution, and I am also its guillotine, an untouched confidence that you tame with a conscience carried and crafted by consequence. Consequently, you try, but no, I will take pride in being the reason your anger makes you blind. We are the dichotomy, the monotony of the rich, the poor, and the whole monopoly. With one, the game is fixed. Without the other, it doesn't exist. The balance we provide is a war that levels the playing field of life. Which side you choose is dependent on your own want, on your want and earn to win, or how much you hate to lose. Our gift to you is our presence and the history we have carved through the countless lives that have shaped our present. The light and the dark act separately, but leave no mark. This is where our tale stops and where your one starts.
Wow, thank you so much for this wonderful reading. It is a very powerful poem. It has different shades of different tones of voice, and I really appreciated the poetic style and how you integrated that within this narrative, which at times it may seem quite dark and mysterious. Could you talk to us a little bit more about this story itself?
Sure. So the whole premise of this again was a battle between the light and the dark, to think of, okay, what is, and basically putting those two in sort of a rap battle. In a rap battle, typically what they're trying to do is prove that they're better than the other, trying to say, this is all that I am, this is how much that I've done, this is the reason that I am so great and why I'm so much better than you. And to think of, okay, what are the aspects of life that fill you up, all that euphoria, how you feel on Christmas and birthdays, and how you savor everything, the euphoria you feel from every joyous moment. And then you have the flip side of that, everything that makes you afraid, everything that terrifies you day to day. All of that plays into it, and trying to find the complete split between both of them, trying to find the perfect opposites and have them fight each other the whole way. It feels like a fight when you are reading it, and when you are going through it is what you should pick up when you're initially reading it. And understanding that both of them are necessary. At the very end, where I say, with only one, the game is fixed. Without the other, it doesn't exist. That, as terrible as it may be to only have only good things in life, you still need that balance between it. Because as wonderful as it is to have all the good things in your life, without those bad things happening, you are doomed to repeat them. You are doomed to repeat those histories and all those mistakes if you don't have those reminders. That's not to say that you should have bad things in your life, no, but you should always have those warnings. And that is what is built upon here. And further towards the actual style of it, the alliteration that I tried to use reminded me of some of the most powerful bars that I saw and managed to listen to when I was going through all these different rap battles, and just how it felt like someone was machine gunning these different words and this alliteration, and how many different times they managed to split a syllable or split a meaning. That just blew my bleeding mind the first time that I heard it, and I knew that as soon as I sat down, I have to do something to this. I have to. So that's purely what this came from.
Wow, fantastic. There's definitely this kind of conflict in the poem. You can feel this kind of divergence of voices, kind of colliding with each other, and we have this kind of more dark kind of voice, inner voice that comes to us. And I think you represented that very well. It's as if we kind of materialized this and into a character, and we made it our unconsciousness telling us all these horrible things that we often tend to think about. And as you said, we have these voices all the time, and it doesn't mean that we have to, we have to try to, suppress these voices, but it's not eliminated, because you can't really eliminate something that's been there as a human, element, because we all have this as a warning of fear to know what will happen in the future. We all have these anxious feelings, and we're all aware and alert all the time for whatever risk may happen around us. So it's a normal human feeling to have, but sometimes we have to remind ourselves that it shouldn't, cross over the boundaries of, making our lives miserable, right? So I think this kind of conflict that you've created here in the poem, it's quite, it really hints at that idea. So wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And a really good reading as well. I think the change of voices and the structure really made it come to life. So now if we go to, if anyone wants to buy your poetry collection, where can we find it, and how can we buy it?
Well, the poetry collection itself will be available on November 1st. It will be published November 1st on Amazon.com as well as Ingram Spark. It will also be available through my website, which will be www.thepapermanpoems.com. That's another link there. And also, if you wish to follow me on Instagram, @_thepaperman, all one word. Those are the best ways to go about there. It will be available in both paperback. It will be available in paperback, ebook, as well as an audiobook version, which I'll release a few weeks after the actual release is filmed.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I will make sure to look it up. And also I will put all the links in the description box so that people can find it more easily. And hopefully everyone will get to, read these wonderful poems. There are so many. How many are they?
This is a year's worth of poetry. So there are there's 371 poems in total.
Wow.
The reason being it's 371 is because there's 365 poems and 6 songs that I wrote inside there as well. So that's all the first year that I wrote inside there. It's 684 pages in a 6x9 book.
That's very impressive. We could maybe read one poem per day for a year.
Exactly.
That'd be fun. And I'm very excited for your big release on the 1st of November. I really hope it goes really well. And well, you'll let me know. And good luck with everything.
Thank you very much for having me, Erwin.
Thank you for listening to the Poetry Lighthouse. If you liked this episode, don't forget to share and subscribe to our podcast. You can also visit our website, thepoetrylighthouse.com, where you can read and submit your works of poetry and short stories. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to keep updated. This is the end of the episode. Thanks again, and see you next time.